Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This video was inspired by a Reddit theory that I read recently. The theory talks about the story of Momotaro and tries to make the case for the blue pheasant to be Hiyori. It was actually a very interesting read, and I suggest you give it a try if you haven't read it already. You can find the link to the theory down below in the video descriptions. The biggest leap of faith in this theory is expecting Hiyori to be way more stronger than we know. The author suggests her having power of a devil fruit making her powerful enough. The speculation was a push to create this video. I will not really talk about the theory itself, but I want to take a closer look on the possibility of her being physically strong. So let's take it from the beginning. Kozuki Hiyori was first introduced in chapter 909 as a mysterious character, hiding behind a mask. Later, we met her as a Komurasaki in chapter 928. And her true identity as Momo's younger sister and Oden's daughter was revealed after 10 more chapters in chapter 938. It feels as if all we have seen her character revolve around is revealing her secrets, yet I feel like nothing has been revealed. She is for me as mysterious as she was in the beginning. The more we found out about her, more questions I had, and as one arc progressed, I began to wonder whether or not we will get the answers, because her role was becoming less and less prominent, despite the fact that many people, myself included, expected her to be very important to the story. This trend became even more apparent after the introduction of Yamato, who quickly became fans' favorite, and although she called herself Oden and Kaido's son, she immediately became strongest possibility to be typical arc princess. So could what we've seen so far really be all that Oda planned for Hiyori, or is there more to her story? Are there any actual hints to suggest her role and story in Wano is not finished? Does she possess real power? To get the answer, we must take a look and see if and how well is her character connected to the villains of the arc. Let's begin with Kaido. He killed her father and was responsible for the suffering of her family and her country. But other than that, we haven't seen much of their personal connection. Momo and Yamato showed far greater connection and desire to defeat him than Hiyori ever had. Luckily, for those who wish to see her soon, there is one more villain, and that's Orochi. Hiyori's story has been strongly connected with Orochi as a villain. Orochi is just as much responsible for the suffering of Wano, but in his case, we are shown Orochi being the villain of her story in a real time. We see her slapping Orochi after he wanted to kill Toko. We see her needing to pretend death to keep Orochi from her. She and Toko were chased by Orochi's assassin. Orochi killed Yasue and she witnessed Toko's tragedy. We see her suffering when speaking about Orochi giving defective smile fruits to citizens, and most importantly, we see her claiming her desire to kill Orochi. Lastly, in chapter 955, we see Orochi reading a message from Kenjiro and learns that Hiyori is still alive. This not only further strengthens their story connection, but also gives huge indication that their story will continue. In chapter 1026, it is confirmed that Orochi is still alive and his story goes on. Therefore, I am completely sure we will see Hiyori very soon, possibly in the next chapter. Or maybe we have already seen her and she was the mysterious person from chapter 1004. Most people agree that it's either Toki or Hiyori, but if we can trust anime with this, then Toki is dead. That means it is a Hiyori, but what is she doing? Could she be working with Denjiro, who we don't know where he is or what is he doing? I think it's possible, but there's no time for that in this video. I think we made strong case for her return to story sooner than in epilogue, and now we need to look at the possibility of her being physically strong. When I read Blue Pheasant Theory and wondered whether or not it is possible for her to be powerful, certain scene was coming to my mind. It was a scene of her running away from Killer, or to be precise, Kamazo. She and Toko were saved by Zoro, but is there an explanation to why she needed a help that wouldn't create a plot hole from this scene after we would find out about Hiyori's true strength? She didn't use any kind of power to defend herself. You could say she wanted to keep her power a secret, and I would agree with that in most cases where she was among people. But here they were alone. Kamazo didn't know her identity, and Zoro wouldn't notice them without her calling for help. It was a perfect place to use her power. But nothing happened, and I can't think of a reason why she wouldn't use her devil fruit power. So for now, I think that rules out the possibility of her being a devil fruit user. But there is still one more option that is thematically closer to her character, and that is the possibility of her being skilled in a fight with weapon. Sword comes to mind first, of course, but any weapon is possible. The thing is, she has no weapon with her. Her fake death was planned. Why didn't she took some weapon with her? Simplest answer would be that she dropped it and ran away from Kamazo. However, it can become more interesting when we combine it with the weird wound that Zoro notices on her hand. Once again, the simplest answer would be that Oda gave her the wound to make Zoro understand the situation to contrast Toko's laugh. But obviously, this video is not supposed to take you through simplest answers. If we look at her hand, we can see two small wounds that were caused by sharp, pointy weapon. But Kamazo is using two huge scythes and is dead set on killing Toko and everyone who stands in the way. So how did Kamazo cause such small wounds? Well, interesting answer would be that she used a weapon to stop him from cutting off her arm. That would mean she fought him, but lost, and tried to run away. That would make sense, because no matter how strong she really is, I think it's safe to assume she won't be stronger than Killer. While making deductions just from this one scene requires huge leaps of logic, the point I wanted to make to you, and also me, is that in my opinion, this scene doesn't prevent Oda to reveal Hiyori as a strong fighter. Now let's get to the possible hints about her being stronger than we know so far. There are two main ways to naturally gain impressive physical strength, and that is training and genetics. We have no info about the former, but her genetics truly give feeling that it is possible for her to be strong. Hiyori took after her mother in many ways. Her looks, her charm, her healing skills. But could she inherit at least portion of Oden's strength? We know Oden was extremely powerful from a very young age, which means he got that power from the day he was born. Which would also mean his children could potentially inherit it. We have seen many times Momo trying to be like Oden, but we have never seen any hints of him inheriting his monstrous strength. Hiyori, on the other hand, is a different case. From young age, we have seen her kicking down her older brother. Later, we see her strongly slapping a huge guy like Orochi. She most likely took unconscious Zoro by herself from the bridge to graveyard in Ringo. She also proclaimed her desire to kill Orochi by herself, and I don't see her as someone who would say this and then expect someone else to defeat Orochi, bring him to her so that she could execute a defeated man. That means she must trust herself to be clearly strong enough to defeat Orochi on her own. I guess some may say that defeating Orochi isn't really hard, but that only seems that way because he is always compared with the strongest, like Kaido or Denjiro. But I think the normal human wouldn't be able to kill Mythical Zone user even if the user is Orochi. You need a certain level of strength for that, level that we have not seen here display yet. The last point I will mention is that Oden gave her Enma, so it's completely possible that he saw potential in her to be able to use and tame Enma. So to give you all my final opinion, I think that Hiyori will show us that she is much more capable fighter than we realize. She will be strong enough to kill Orochi, and it makes sense for her to do it. Both Zoro and Denjiro are way too strong to make them killing Orochi interesting. But him getting killed by Hiyori is a nice twist that makes complete sense. That's all for today. If you have enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button, and hopefully we will meet in the next video.